Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dream.Us promotional kickoff for the 2019-2020 round. We're very excited to have you joining us today, and we have most of the team assembled to run you through this presentation. My name is Sadhana Singh. I'm a program manager with the Dream.Us, and I was also a scholar who was just graduated. So I attended Trinity Washington University in DC, and I just graduated this past spring with my bachelor's in communication. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to our president, Candy Marshall, to kick off the presentation. Candy?
Good. Greetings all. I also want to welcome you, and I want to just take a moment to thank you. We are so grateful for all that you're doing to support our scholars, and I'm going to talk with you a little bit about what we've accomplished together in these last 5 years. But let me first just do a quick walk through the agenda so you know what's to come. We're going to start with just a few program reminders and some new communication tools, which we're quite excited about. We will then have Elena Solario, who I will introduce in just a little bit, walk us through the application selection and award process for this round. And then we will turn to our fabulous Gabby Pacheco to talk with us about our promotional toolkit and how you can go about promoting the scholarship and getting a robust applicant pool. So let's just jump right in, Sadhana. And the next slide that is coming, here it is. It may astound you to know that we are now starting our 6th national scholarship round. This fall, in all of your colleges, we have over 3,000 scholars. And that is an incredible thing to have accomplished in such a short period of time, and we could not have done it without you. One of our partner colleges, really a system, is CUNY, and CUNY will now have over 800 scholars in the CUNY system. And each year they do a survey of their scholars to find out what's working and not working. And they ask our scholars, aside from the money, which we all know is essential for them to get into college, what has been most important to them and their college success? And they say two things. The first thing they say is that it's the scholar advisor. So that's you listening to this program. The scholar advisor we think of as the linchpin of our program. And what our scholars will say is having that trusted person who knows your status, can help you navigate the system, be there when things start to fall apart, has been absolutely critical for them. The second thing they will say is important to their college success is their peer community. So this model where we try to have each of you get at least 10 scholars out of every round is really important to our scholars. And what they will say is, no one knows what it's like to be undocumented except for another undocumented person. So what we want to say to you is this model is working, and it works in large part to what you're doing. Our scholar academic numbers are phenomenal. We have a first year average persistence rate of 94%. Our first 3 full national cohorts have an overall persistence rate of 85%. This far exceeds any national benchmarks, including benchmarks for Pell students, low-income first-generation students. And they're able to do this because of the support they get from you. And then the other, not such an objective indicator, but what we see happening is our scholars are engaged on your campuses. They are participating in clubs. They are leading clubs. Many of our scholars are the leaders of the student body government. And what they found is some of them will say for the first time, a home where they really feel welcome. So we just want to thank you. This wouldn't happen without all that you do. So now let us just move forward and see what we can do to be helping you. So on the next slide, I'm just going to give you a few program reminders. These are 3 questions that we find we get often from you and also from our scholars. And some of this is some confusion that we created. We want our scholars to strive for a 3.0, and we have perhaps confused them in thinking that they have to have a 3.0 or they will lose their scholarship, and that simply is not the case. The only time a scholar will lose our scholarship is if their GPA falls below a 2.0 for more than 1 academic year. So it can be down for one term. If they bring it up the next, they're just fine. What we do ask is if the GPA falls below a 2.5, They work with the scholar advisor to develop a plan to bring the GPA up. And at the time of renewal, if it's under 2.5, they'll get a text box on their renewal form, and they'll have to write into that text box what it is they're doing with you to make sure that they're going to be on track. The next confusing issue for some has been breaks in enrollment. And this is where we have found that scholars sometimes will either at the last moment decide not to enroll, or they enroll but then are faced with some difficult circumstances and decide that they have to withdraw from classes. What is important is that they immediately notify ISTS and you, and we say here, or risk losing the award. And losing the award isn't meant to be a penalty. It's just the reality of what happens. If you report that they're not enrolled, we assume that they've withdrawn, and therefore they're no longer eligible for the scholarship. But if the scholar lets us know that they need a break in enrollment, the system will reflect that, and they will continue to be an active scholar. We do say to our scholars, you can only have a maximum of 2 terms off, three terms if you're on the quarter system. And then third thing that we want to just emphasize, and this is primarily for our community colleges, and I'll just take a moment to emphasize, we are so proud of our community colleges, and you provide such an important aspect of college education in America. And we have many students that are really succeeding in your environments. One of the reminders we want to give you is that students can only use our award for 3 years at a community college to either complete their associate degree or to transfer. So we don't want them to linger there for overtime. The whole idea of giving them the award is that they have the funds to actually move through. Now, some of our community colleges we know offer 4-year degrees, and obviously if that's the case, then the 3-year limit doesn't apply. But just keep that in mind as you're advising the scholars. Okay, and next slide, I think, is where I now turn this over to the fabulous Sadhana. And it is so great to have one of our scholars working with us. We continually go to Sadhana to say, okay, read this and tell us how a scholar would actually receive it. So it's fabulous. Sadhana, want to talk about these new tools that you've developed?
Thank you, Candy. Yes. So I'll take it back here. We want to show you these new communication tools that we've introduced and we've created to provide a more systematic way for you to communicate with us and with each other. So the goal of this is to be able to have you find the right answers from the right place. So we know that sometimes there are many different kinds of concerns, and then you may go to 5 different places before you get the right answer. So we've actually created a handy PDF graphic that shows you all of the ways that you can get answers to your questions. So I'll actually just click here right now to show you how you can find that graphic on our website. So this is the main page of our website. I'm going to navigate to the Partner College Hub, which you're already familiar with. I will then go down here to Partnership Toolkit. And right there in the center, you should be able to see the graphic. As it says, you can click the full image for the PDF, and it literally takes you to the PDF link, which we recommend that you either bookmark or you download. And the great thing about this PDF is that there are links in there, so you can go to exactly what you want from this PDF. It's very helpful. So the very first thing we want to show you is our new PC help desk, which you can see all of the issues and concerns that you can email the help desk for and be able to contact ISTS directly to get answers. Next is your PC Hub, which again, you're already familiar with many of the resources that you can find there. It's always there for you. Next, your relationship manager, which is the person on the TheDream.Us team that you can contact by your state. So as you can see, all of our email addresses are on there, and you can find your state and find the right person on the TheDream.Us team that you contact. And lastly, your Facebook group, which is our new Partner College Facebook group that we have created to be a sort of online learning community for you all. So our hope is that you all join the community, you interact with each other, you engage and share resources on how to better support undocumented students. Of course, our scholars on your campus, but also undocumented students in general. So we hope that this is a really good place for you to connect with each other and also keep the learning going to better serve our scholars. So I'll actually show you right now how to join the Facebook group. So to join, you will find this link, which we will, of course, email out after this broadcast, and you'll also click the plus join group button. Now, this will bring up a series of questions that we would like you to answer, and most importantly, a code that you will need to enter. Now, the code was previously given out via email, but we will send the code again when we email this recording, so you'll be able to go directly to this link and join our Facebook group. For now, we have about 60 members, but we would love to make it more robust and a more engaging community if all of you join. In the same way, we have created a scholars graphic guide as well, and we've created 2 separate guides for our national group and one for our opportunity group. So in this guide, they're able to see their scholarship program guide, ISTS customer care contact information. They see exactly where to find you all, their advisors at their colleges, and of course their own Facebook community. And the important thing that we have for our scholars is their new ISTS Scholar Portal. So this was introduced this week, and I'll have Candy actually tell you a little bit more about it.
Great. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this particular tool. We continually get questions from our scholars about how much money have I received, what's my maximum, when's my next payment, and we have worked with ISTS to create this new scholar portal, and I'll run down it with you. You can see the student can see their application ID, they can see their scholarship type, so whether they're a first-time college student or a community college graduate. They can see their status. This one you'll see is ineligible because Sadhana was so kind as to actually share with us the page from her scholar portal. And Sadhana is ineligible because she has graduated. And you'll see the note there, it's as of the most recently completed form. And the most recently completed form right now is the renewal form that was completed by the scholars this fall. But as soon as we process all of your enrollment verification reports, that will be the newest form and we'll update the scholar status. It has the current partner college. That's good, so students can see if it's not up to date, they know to contact ISTS and update it. This shows breaks in enrollment, and Sadhana was a superstar, so she didn't have any breaks in enrollment, but had she had breaks in enrollment, this one would show the number of breaks and when they were. So that's going to be helpful for scholars to track that. Shows the maximum award amount, and for Sadhana that was $33,000. Shows that she used $30,000. And you'll see here the last payment made and how much that payment was for. So as the payments are going out right now from ISTS to our scholars, when the payment's wired to you, that is when this will be updated to say with the date and the amount of the payment. So if scholars are wondering about their payments, you can tell them, go look at your scholar portal. And then of course it also shows them the amount remaining. So we're hoping scholars will really start to use this to manage their award, and it will give them that visibility to, I only have $3,000 left. I better make sure I'm getting all the credits that I need in this next term. So we're really excited about it. We're getting some positive feedback from our scholars. We'll get more feedback from them on how we can improve it. And we, of course, welcome your input too. So the next slide. All of that information, you may now just be saying, well, I want that information on the scholars. And the answer is you have all of it with one exception. And that is if you go to your ISTS report portal, there are 2 reports there for you. One is your PC Scholar report, which shows you all your current scholars. The second is your applicant report. That's going to be very important coming up post November 1. And Gabby's going to talk with you about how you can use that applicant report. But the PC Scholar report actually does show maximum award, how much a student has received. What you won't see in the PC report, it shows breaks in enrollment. What you won't see there is the most recent payment. So that yet is not a part of the PC Scholar report. And you can see here how to access your ISTS portal. You often forget, as do we, what's the password, so it's here. But what I want to let you know is if you go to this, the PC Scholar Hub, or should just say the PC Hub, shouldn't it? It's right there on the right-hand bar, all of this information. So go to your PC Hub and you'll be able to get into your ISTS portal. Okay, next slide. I think I might be turning it over here. I am, to our fabulous new team member, Elena Solario. So Elena's name may be very familiar to some of you because she was with ISTS and was the program account manager for us for all of our early years. And she's so fabulous. We actually hired her away from ISTS, and she has now joined us to manage both our national and our opportunity programs. So I'm going to immediately turn it over to Elena, and she's going to walk us through the information for the round that's just opening.
Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be part of the team again. I missed working with it this past year. I was kind of doing some work on the back end, but the constant conversations with everyone. So I'm real excited to be a part of the team again. Just wanted to give a quick overview of the application timeline. We are right at a week away from the 6th round going live. So on November 1st at midnight, the application will launch. And then on February 28th, the application closes. Now with the application and it closing, anybody who has submitted their online application and provided all required documents will be considered a complete applicant. And these are the ones that we move forward through the selection process. And then in late April is when we will notify all of the complete applicants as to whether they have been selected or not. And one of the things that we wanted to point out this year was just some of the key changes to the eligibility criteria. The full eligibility criteria requirements can be found in the application guidelines, which are on our website. And you can download them from there. They'll also be included for the applicants on the application, and they can download them from there as well. But we wanted to point out the key changes for this year. We have tried to make the requirements precise and clear because there has been confusion in the past. So the main update this year is for our high school or GED graduates, as well as those community college graduates, that they can now no longer have, not only can they have not been or enrolled
Oh, I think we lost the sound, Elena.
Sorry about that.
No worries, we got you now.
So the key change this year is in addition to students not being enrolled in a four-year university, they cannot have previously been enrolled in a four-year university. And then for our high school or GED graduates, we've also put a limit on there on the amount of credits that they can have earned if they have been enrolled in a community college outside of a dual enrollment or pre-college program. For any students who have enrolled in a community college, as long as they have 21 credits or less, they are eligible to apply. And then finally, for our community college graduates, we have added that they can now delay the start of their bachelor's program into the spring of the 2019-20 academic year. We've allowed our high school graduates to do that, and we've decided to go ahead and let the community college graduates do that as well. Next slide. And just to give you a quick overview of some of the key points in the application itself. On the applicant information section, students are going to obviously provide us with their personal information. And with that, the only thing that we are not asking of them is their address. We'll still get their city, state, and zip code, but just in case something were to ever happen, we don't want to have their actual physical address so that we can't have to turn that over to anyone. And then their immigration eligibility information is also something they're going to provide in this section. What we're going to ask for them is whether they have DACA or TPS authorization. If they do have either of those statuses, they're going to supply us with their employment authorization document number as well as their expiration date. If the student or the applicant does not have either of those, provided they can attest that they meet each of the requirements that are part of the DACA immigration eligibility criteria, they can also apply. And then under the academic information, this is where they let us know which partner college they're hoping to go to. They'll provide us with their high school and community college information. They'll also upload a copy of their transcript in this section. From there, they'll move on to the financial information. We'll ask them whether they're a dependent student or an independent student. Based on what they tell us there, they will provide us with a couple of key pieces of information. Their annual household income, the number in the household that's supported by that income, as well as the number of dependents who will be going to school in the 2019-20 academic year who are also supported by that income. Since we really want to make sure that the applicants have a high financial need, this is how we're able to help determine how much of a need they truly have. From there, they're going to move on to responsibilities. Here's where they can let us know what community service activities they're a part of, any volunteer service that they do, whether it be on a weekly, monthly basis, anything like that. But the key piece here that we ask for is their home responsibilities. We know that many Dreamers have significant home responsibilities, and so we really want to take that into account when determining kind of what they're doing, not just in school, out in the community, but what they're doing at home. And then finally, their essays. So there's 2 essay pieces to the application. One to let us know what their educational and career goals are, as well as what they've done in overcoming adversity. And then from here, what we really ask is for those schools that are engaged in really helping applicants complete this application is to go through the process with them, help them out with their essays, be a sounding board for them, help them edit it, and just everything that they can to make it as powerful as they can. And then next slide, please. And again, just kind of on the supporting documents piece, it is their high school transcript for the high school and GED graduates, or a copy of their high school equivalency diploma. If they have taken the SAT or the ACT or both, they are required to then provide that documentation as well, showing their test scores. And then if they have had any community college credits, then we also ask for a copy of that transcript. And then for our community college graduates, again, it's a copy of their community college transcript so that we can verify their GPA. All right, and then now to give a quick overview of the selection process. Once the application closes, ISTS will go through the process of reviewing all applications to make sure that they are complete and eligible. From there, they take those and they do an initial scoring of academics. This is where they look at their responsibilities. And then from there, those students, we then take a group of those students and they move on to a semifinalist round. From there, we have a scholarship selection committee, and they will read all of the essays. And once those essays have been read and scored, this is when we make the determination of who becomes a scholar for the year. And then again, we let everyone know in late April whether they have been selected or not. And now for the award process. Again, everybody's pretty familiar with this at this point, but just a reminder, the award amount is based on the cost of tuition and fees up to the maximum amount that the student is allowed for the year and term. And then it's never going to be more than the actual tuition or fees for the term, and the scholar can never receive more than their maximum amount. And then just how that award gets applied. So first and foremost, always gets applied towards any unpaid tuition and fees, and that does include their stipend. So in situations where mostly are four-year schools where the cost of tuition and fees is a little bit more than what the max award amount is, a lot of those scholars don't receive a stipend because the stipend does help go towards the tuition and fees costs. But if a student does happen to have any funds remaining, at that point, they can be applied towards book supplies, transportation, any housing and meal costs, as well as personal expenses.
I'm going to jump in just to add one comment here. We get lots of questions from our scholars about how it is they will receive their stipend. And it is a question we can't actually answer because each of you manage it slightly different. Some of you disperse it immediately. Some of you wait to see what expenses the students incur at the local bookstore, and then you'll disperse it. So we will be sending our scholars to the scholar advisors with questions about how it is their stipend will be dispersed. So if it's easier for you to send out an email to scholars to let them know so you don't get so many questions, we absolutely encourage you to do so, just to give you a heads up on that one.
Great. So now we'll actually pause and take some of your questions from the chat box that you've written in some questions, and we're happy to answer that for you. One first question is if we can actually clarify the amount of credit limit that a student can have before they apply.
Lenny, you want to take that?
Sure. Again, for any of our high school graduates who have attended a community college, again, it is specific to community college, they cannot have not earned more than 21 credits outside of a dual enrollment or pre-college program. Anything that they have earned while they were in high school is not counted towards the 21 credit max.
Okay.
And just jump in maybe and explain this one a little bit, why it is we came up with this. So the intent of our scholarship when we first started it was to support students who had not been able to afford to go to college. And what Gabby and I recognized at the very beginning is there are some dreamers who have not been able to afford to go to college on a full-time basis. And what they've been doing is taking a class here and there as they could afford that class. And to us, that is a sign of motivation and persistence. And we didn't want to have that discount or count against those students. So what we did is we looked at the average number of credits that our applicants had, high school graduate applicants last year, and this is post high school graduation, and it was 20 credits. So we decided we'd settle on 21. That's about 7 courses on a 3-credit system. And that way, these students who have been taking classes at local community colleges, a class at a time, are still eligible to apply for a scholarship. So that's the intent of having this no more than 21 credits.
Okay, another question we have, again, is to clarify the 2 categories that the students can apply.
Oh, we realized we should have done that at the very beginning. So for the National Scholarship, there are 2 different kinds of scholarships. One is for high school graduates or students with an HSE, their high school equivalency diploma. And then there is a second scholarship that is for community college graduates. And those graduates don't have to have graduated from one of our partner colleges. They can have graduated from any accredited partner college, and then they apply to use, if they get our scholarship, they can actually use it to attend one of our 4-year universities and work on their bachelor degree.
Okay, next question. Can refugees and asylees apply too?
Why don't you take that one, Gabby?
Sure. So our scholarship started out with providing scholarships to people that have DACA and TPS. And right now we have extended it for people that would be DACA eligible. We know that on September 5th, 2017, the DACA program ended. And so all the young people who were aging into the program or were in high school and never got to apply didn't get to apply for DACA. And so we've expanded our scholarship for that. But for the time being right now, our scholarship is only for people that have DACA, TPS, or would be DACA eligible.
Good, thank you.
Okay, another question. I'll actually read directly from what was typed. The advisor says, my student was enrolled for the semester but has been hospitalized and forced to withdraw from most of his classes. He's now only taking 4 units. Does he still have the scholarship?
Answer is yes, he still has the scholarship. And so for this particular student, it sounds like he's still taking classes, so he's just simply enrolled part-time. He definitely will want to work with his scholar advisor to make sure that he's got a plan to complete if he's only taking 4 credits. And even had this student had to drop all of his classes, he would still be eligible for the scholarship. This is that situation where he would just need to reach out to the scholar advisor and ISTS and let them know right away, I'm going to not be enrolled this term. Please keep me as a scholar. And then when he's able to come back the next term, he simply gets his award.
Great. Okay, our next question. Do students self-report their SAT, ACT scores, or does it need to come officially from College Board?
Oh,
They,
yeah,
they do self-report their scores, but for those who have taken them, they are required to upload a copy of their score report from ACT or SAT so that it can be verified.
Okay, and following on the question of the 21 credits, an advisor is asking, how do you verify that credit limit and when? Is it summer 2019?
It is not. It is during the application process. When they provide a copy of their transcript is where we would verify those credits.
and we do ask in the application if they're currently enrolled in community college classes, they also report those credits. So we'll know whether that's counting toward the 21. And maybe a quick comment on this. Gabby and I have seen over the years some colleges who have been very well-intended counselors that have suggested to a student that, well, if maybe you should just drop classes so you'll be below the 21, or maybe you shouldn't enroll this term so that you won't have been previously enrolled. And really, a student does that at their own peril. There is absolutely no guarantee that they will get the scholarship. It is a fairly competitive process, and it could be truly the detriment of a student. So we discourage you from telling students to drop classes or not enroll just so they can be eligible for this particular scholarship. It really could be to their disadvantage.
Okay, so we have two more questions we'll get through and then we'll move on to our next slide. We have a question, do all students receive the stipend?
No, they do not. There are a few students who do not. Our online students at Purdue Global University do not receive it. The California students do not receive it. We structure their awards slightly differently. And then there's one other group that doesn't receive it. Our Washington State. Thank you. Both of those, we just structure the awards slightly different because students in those states get state aid. But all other students are eligible for the stipend.
Okay, and one last question before we move on. Is there a rubric for scoring the essays?
There is what I would say is a guideline. So yes, for each of the questions, our selection committee is trained on certain things to look for and how many points they might apply toward those things. But I will say that there definitely is judgment on the part of the selection committee. And just a quick word on this selection committee. It is now 200 people strong. It is business leaders, education leaders, immigration rights activists, and some undocumented dreamers themselves who serve on this group. And we've found them to be incredibly dedicated and really insightful in looking to see what those essays are telling about the student. So we're looking for students in their essays who have been inspired in their educational career goals and how they've been inspired, but also what we want them to actively identify the barriers and challenges they think they'll face and how they'll overcome them. And then we ask a very specific question about that gets to this issue of motivation and persistence. Perseverance is what I should say. And that is asking students to identify what is a very difficult obstacle they've had to overcome, how they overcame it, what they learned, and how they would apply that learning going forward. So the extent you can help them in telling their story in those two essay questions, it will definitely help them in the competitive process.
Great, thank you all for those questions. We'll actually now turn it over to Gabby for the promotional part of this presentation.
Wonderful. So we are so excited about the launch of our 6th national round. It feels like yesterday when we started this. So it's really great to see very familiar names, and we've learned so much from you. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that you all knew is that we have this report out. So you already received an email from Candy with this report. And in April, we decided to survey our scholars, and 1,400, a little over 1,400 scholars filled out this survey, and we have been able to learn a lot from them. And one of the things, as Candy was saying before, that we've learned is just how amazing all of you are and the support that our colleges are providing our students. So we wanted to make sure that this report not only gave recommendations of what we believe and think we should be doing to help these students, but also we wanted to highlight the great work that our partner colleges are doing to support them. So I ask you to please help us get it out. We want to make sure that as many leaders and folks in the community that are people that can make the change and make a difference in the lives of these young people are able to read this report that it's named in their own words. So with that, I want to go through this, and we're going to go through this fairly quickly because this is something that you have seen, but we wanted to point a couple of things out. So I'm just going to go over some of these things. And this is all going to be given to you. So if you want to take some time, if you're a new partner college, I do suggest that you take some time to read this or provide this for your media folks that you work with. So as Candy was saying before, your ISCS portal gives you two different reports, your PC Scholar report and then your applicant report. And in your applicant report, you'll be able to see as students are coming in and applying for the scholarship, their information. And so what we did is we went out, we talked to our colleges, and we wanted to know, what is the secret sauce? What are you using to make sure that you're getting a robust applicant pool? And one of the things that we know is that depending on the pool size, you need 90, at least 90 applicants to start the application to get to the desired minimum of 10 scholars. So it usually, what we have seen, the trend is that about 90 people started, 30 to 50 submit and complete, and usually about 10 or more people get the scholarship. This round, they're not going to be as many as in the past because we won't be able to provide and give as many scholarships. The last two rounds, we actually put money forward to be able to provide scholarship because we had record number of people applying for a scholarship. So just wanted to make that note in case that some of you say, hey, we're not getting as many scholars as we've done in the past. But we really want you all to get the minimum of 10 because we believe in this cohort model, and we believe, as Candy was saying before, the importance of having cohorts and undocumented students coming together to build that community on your campus. So one of the things that we are going to go over and show you some examples is having the information of the Dream.Us directly on your website. We know, and people have told us, our scholars have said, that it's so great to be able to go to their own college website and see that information. And we'll go in detail of what are some of the things that are going to be key to have in that page. The other thing is getting the word out. So we will do a national press release, and we're thinking about doing, we're strategically doing maybe some geographically state-by-state releases, but there's nothing like doing local press releases where your media department gets the word out to the news stations, small newspapers, the people that the media department has already close relationships with. So we're here to help. We have some templates, and if you need any help from us, and if you need a quote from Candy, for example, please do reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to help you with those press releases. The other thing is, it's so key and important to reach out to the local high schools, and you all probably already do this, but one thing that we our learning curve was we were talking a lot to organizations and nonprofits and immigrant rights organizations, but we neglected to talk to college high school counselors. And the minute we started doing that, that's when we saw the increase in our scholarship applications. So those college counselors are really key. So make sure you are talking to them. And then hosting on your campus sessions where you provide opportunities for people to come in and use the computer lab to fill out the application, where you have perhaps scholars that come in to become ambassadors and mentors and tell them, this is how I did my application, this is how, I did the essay. reviewing the essay with them. That's something that Elena talked about, and our selection committee takes their selection really seriously. And one of the things that we have heard time and again from our selection committee is that little spelling errors, grammatical errors make a difference. And so I would, suggest to make sure that those applicants are reading through their essays and making sure that they are saying what they need to say, following the prompts, and ensuring that they have somebody there to help them with review of those essays. And then the other thing that is going to be really important is your ISTS portal. And one of the universities, Metropolitan State, giving you a shout out, we went out and talked to them because we were so surprised when we brought them on board. They had such a huge, robust applicant pool. And what we learned from them is that they were using the ISTS portal to pull the information of who was applying. They contacted them, they invited them to come on campus and see, where the resource center was going to be, to help them with their application, to finalize it. And they started calling people that were not, had not completed their application to say, why haven't you completed? Do you need help? How can we help you? And that's what generated, and that's what really helped. So putting together a call bank or putting together dates where you can bring in the students or sending them emails, and all that information you'll have available for you at your ISTS portal. And then the last thing is, use the power of the scholar. We have heard time again, scholars say, oh, I found out about the scholarship because another scholar came to my high school, or my friend who is a scholar of TheDream.Us told me about it. So reach out to your scholars now and ask them if they want to be involved. We also have a scholar bank of over 300 students that have already provided their stories, and you can also reach out to us for that. Okay, so social media, as you know, is very powerful. So if you are tweeting about the scholarship, and we hope that every single one of your colleges are, please make sure that you're using these helpful hashtags that are going to be able to help you connect and expand your voice. And the other thing too is that when you type and put out the message, please tag us so that we know that you are talking about us and so that we can retweet you. And of course, there's Facebook messages. Here are some samples of what we had seen 2 years ago. And I'm really looking forward to updating this. So if you can, please make sure that you send this out, and you, when you tweet at us so that I can screen grab those and update our toolkit. That's going to be going on your partner college toolkit section. So we have flyers. Every single one of you should have already received the box of flyers, stickers, and business cards that are generic business cards that you can use. We also have all these new flyers and posters that we created by popular demand. We were asked by many of you to please make some of these in Spanish, and so we did that, and we grabbed some quotes from some scholars. We also did this really nice one that says "We believe in you" in 3 different languages and English. So all those can be downloaded directly on the website. And here's some examples, and I point out in these examples what makes these websites so good. We have started to reach to some of you because the information there is a little outdated, so there's a lot of 25,000 still information. As you all know, 2 years ago we decided to change that to 29,000. And some of you still have our old logo. We also have a new logo, so it's right here. So you can grab those logos again and update your website. Great. Okay. So I'm going to show you now on the website where you can grab and download the flyers that we have. So if you go to any of the scholarship, the National Scholarship or the Opportunity Scholarship, you'll be able to see it right here. And when you click here, you'll get a zip file with all the different postcards and posters and images that we have. So you just click there and then you'll get a little zip file with all those files. We're also going to put this on the promotional toolkit that is in your partner college hub. So be on the lookout for it. We're going to put this presentation as well as the flyers and the tools for you to use to market the scholarship. And I'll hand it back over to Sedana.
Thank you, Gabby.
Yeah.
So now it's really exciting for us to get going and start promoting our new round to help even more scholars, which I'm excited to be part of. So thank you all for watching with us today.
One thought, if I may. First of all, I want to give Gabby a shout out because the flyers that she and the little business cards and the stickers are so well received by students. So we can't encourage you enough to use them. But also just a little tip, as Gabby mentioned, we found that the high school counselors can be a very important pipeline. And if you give a high school counselor even a few flyers or one of those stickers, and they can put them in their window or at their cube, undocumented students will see it, and students who might not have been comfortable in disclosing their status will know that's a friendly high school counselor. So we encourage you not only to put them up in your offices and cubicles, but make sure that you're getting them out to your local high schools where you have a lot of undocumented students. So back to you, Sedana. I just wanted to give Gabby that one shout out, encourage everyone to use those fabulous tools.
Yes, and I actually remembered one more. And this one is my personal pet peeve. And it's the name of the scholarship. Sometimes Word and Outlook and all these other things separate the and Dream.Us. And so please, please, please be aware that it's TheDream.Us all together. There is also a capitalized T, D, and the US are also capitalized. So wherever you see TheDream.Us, please make sure that it's all together and that it's correctly spelled. And the reason for that is not just because we want everything to look the same, but because the name of our scholarship is the name of our website. So we want to make sure that people get to go to Google, if any student sees it, that they put TheDream.Us all together and automatically sends them to our website. So that's why.
Great.
Yes.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We will be sending an email out with this recording and many of the resources that were mentioned in this presentation. And again, we're really happy to be in partnership with you all. Thanks again and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.